But epigenetic changes to genes can be passed on from parent to child. So if you're a parent and you are struggling with weight issues and your genes have been modified, then your kids may not only get your genes that predispose to obesity, but they might get your epigenetic modified genes from your sort of behavioral struggles as an adult. So when people sort of ask me, what would you, if you had one thing to do that you thought might help curb the obesity epidemic, what would it be? And my answer is always trying to get young adults, both the men and the women, to address their health issues before they conceive, before they start planning a family, because not only will that child grow up or develop as a fetus in in utero environment in the mom's belly, as you said in your
yes, the bump.
Yeah. So not only will they grow up in a healthier baby bump, but they will also potentially get fewer epigenetically modified genes from their parents. And then when they're born, they're actually going to be born into a household where a lot of the behavioral changes have already been made. And so it's really, to me, a vicious cycle. And that's where we need to break the cycle, is really in sort of, and it's a group of people who don't actually generally pay a lot of attention to their health, but it's, young adults in their years of
kind of 20s until
20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And it's a segment of the population that just doesn't generally get a lot of health care. So that would be where I would focus my attention, is on that group, because the older folks like me, we're thinking about longevity. We're like, okay, we got to get healthy because we want to be on the earth forever. But my kids are grown up now, so whatever health changes I make now don't help them.
That's a really good point. So from everything you've said, it's so multifactorial. So food does play a role, and it's mostly kind of the upsurge of ultra processed foods. And it's not just the calories that are giving us. People think, it's just because they're super high in calories, but it's the fact that they're changing how our bodies are working, and we can pass on those changes to our children, which is why you'd get overweight parents who will have overweight children. And you can assume from the outside, it's just because of the culture within the household. But then that also does play a part a little bit in what you said, because if you sort out the food culture before you have a child, then that child will get brought up in a place where you've kind of got to grips with. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, food culture is important in lots of different cultures. And I'm not saying that people need to, have the strictest of diets for their entire lives. But I'm just sort of saying, child dietary behaviors is formed early, usually ages 6 to 12 is what people talk about. So it would help to have some behavior changes, or just, again, structure, right? Like, we're only going to eat out as a family once a week on the weekends and celebrate on Sundays after a hard week of work or whatever, as opposed to, just not paying any attention to it. And especially for kids, we know that there are children who will be at higher risk of developing obesity. And those children are the ones who would need the sort of most structure growing up. But, there's just so many, it is multifactorial. And the most important thing is for people not to blame themselves or for other people to blame them, because it's not, again, no one chooses to do this.